everybody, to the second annual Cybersecurity Forum for Beavercreek City Schools. I'm excited to be here, and at the same time not excited to be here, because what we're talking about is the fact that we set up all these great systems, all this connectivity, all this ability, and now what we have to do is keep people out of it who are paid to get into it. So it's both good and bad. So anyhow, welcome. My name is Mike Schumann. I'm the technology director for Beavercreek City Schools. I think this is my 19th year, 18th year here. I've been in ed tech since before we had email, so a long time. And this is the agenda kind of for tonight. So what we're going to do first is set up the need. I think most people understand the need, but it's always good to hear the current state of what's going on. And we've got our partner Forward Edge here. They're going to come up and give you some real stats and some great information. And then we're going to go on to what are our district's current protections. What are we doing now? We'll give you a little bit of information on that. Obviously not every detail, because you don't want to hear me talk for 5 or 6 hours. And then how does our Forward Edge partnership help us? They'll come back up and tell us more about what we're doing, because this is our next step, which is really cool, SOC as a service, and it helps me sleep at night. And then we also have a student who's going to do a presentation. Our CT instructor is going to come up and talk about the program, about the next generation of cybersecurity experts. That's going to be awesome. And hopefully when you leave here, you'll have at least a few things you're thinking about for yourself. I mean, this is educational. What is it that you're doing at home to protect yourself? What is it you're doing for your peers and your parents and your kids and everybody else? This is a team sport here, and we all have to be prepared. So we're going to jump right into Forward Edge and bring Joshua up.
Thank you. My name is Josh Hargett. I work for Forward Edge / Expel. That's the cybersecurity portion of Forward Edge. And I'm going to talk to you about some current cybersecurity threats going on and how we can better detect it with our own before taking another step further with, let me get my words together here. A better understanding when you guys can look at it and be like, oh, this is malicious, rather than, hey, I'm going to click on this and let's go through all the steps, and then, the bad things happen. So first, the number one attack right now going on is phishing attacks. Phishing is when you get an email from someone posing as, it could be me, hey, I want your bank account information or your password. You give it to them, that's it. Ransomware and social engineering, this all kind of go together. Ransomware, they hold your data for money for a certain amount of time, whatever it may be. And then social engineering is just, it's the human way of getting you to pretty much trick you into believing what they're saying. So like, hey, I work for Chase Bank, give me your social security number, that way we can process this paycheck, or whatever it may be like that. Thousands of attempts are happening each week. I do tickets. I am one of the main ticket closers for Forward Edge, and I do thousands of phishing tickets a week. So it's insane, not only for students, staff. I know you guys get them, because I get them just as much on my private email as I do on my work email. And then there's high-risk periods, of course. They know when to start attacking. That's going to be beginning of the school year, when you're coming back from Christmas break, when you're coming back from Thanksgiving break, all those times. They just know you're going to be in school. They're not going to typically attack during the summer year, but they will try to get those few students or few staff members or even parents, who are checking it throughout the year. And like I said, everyone's targeted. Everyone's a potential target. The most common entry points is going to be the impersonation. So what I see a lot is superintendent emails being passed around like, hey, there's an update to our payroll. Please check this out. But it's not actually coming from the superintendent. We're going to get a little bit deeper dive into what you can check before you make your final decision on whether it's malicious or not. Just common tactics we've been seeing, QR codes, they'll be sent to your email. You got to scan them, and then that'll take you to a website. That could have a drive-by download, or it could ask for personal information. People love giving out personal information for some reason. And then the high-risk periods again. So this is a nice chart here where if you look, malicious email arrives, email is blocked, there's no problem. Then we can go through the steps. User receives it, user clicks on it, web page opens. It could either install malware, it can either request info, or if the user detects it as phishing, problem solved. And then it just goes all the way down. there's numerous things it can do. It can infect your system. It can take over your system completely. It can get it into your Google Chrome. If you use Google Chrome and you save all your passwords onto that, it's able to, like, they're able to get anything and everything as long as they have access to your computer. So here is, I think, my favorite slide, just because it really helps. This is what I do for a living, and this is what you guys can look at. So first, they always have a sense of urgency in their message. They're going to be urgent. Hey, if you don't give this to me, we're going to put a lien on your house. We're going to, whatever it may be. So you got to look. So it's crossed out, but if it'll be sent to you, you'll see your email, but then you're going to see 80 other emails with it usually. And then it's not directly addressed to you. If it's coming from your bank, hopefully they're going to be more personable with you, like, hey, dear Joshua, my bank account, we saw some weird activity on your account. And it's just generic, contains the threat, like I said, and then it's going to try to redirect you to a link. And that link could be like chasebank.com. The official link's chase.com. And that's just where we got to kind of keep in our head, like, hey, we know our websites. We just got to make sure when we're doing this and people are requesting or asking for information to be a little more cognizant of what they're asking. And like, if you get a phone call from someone asking for your social, I hope you don't just directly give it out. So how it starts is it takes one user, it takes one staff, it takes one student, it takes one teacher or one parent. It gets infected, one student, or let's say one student accounts get infected. It just starts spreading. It spreads like a wildfire across the entire district. It can start emailing. I've seen 8,000 emails from a compromised account going out to numerous districts in Ohio, Kentucky, wherever it may be. And when a ransomware does attack and it is legitimate from an actual hacker, we have seen it take down services for 2 days, where they had to cancel school for 2 days. And that, cost. And then a nearby district also lost 1 terabyte. Terabyte is a crazy amount of information from staff inboxes. So if they get in one staff account, they could pull all their contacts, pull all their emails, and that's just the way to keep the phishing campaigns continuing. So just in the 6 years, there was 1,600 attacks. I guarantee you now, in the year of 2025, that's probably triple in this year alone. 80% of schools were attacked by ransomware, 287 days to cover from ransomware attacks. So that's getting your data back. Hopefully, all schools have data backups, but they can also get into that. So just the best practices, MFA, multi-factor authentication, we just keeping that enabled. If you don't know what that is, it's if you sign into Gmail or your email app and it asks you, hey, click yes on your phone, it'll let you log in, or enter a code like your Google code, whatever it is. Strong, unique passwords. Don't use the same passwords for every site. I am terrible at this as well, but use a password manager. If not, I recommend something other than Google, but Google is good as long as you keep that MFA on, and that's a second form. If they can't get your text messages, they can't get into your email. And just think before you click, report anything. I know you guys, I'm pretty sure, have phishing set up, so just report that. He can investigate it. If he needs help, he can forward it over. And just closing here. So it really is targeted mostly on human behavior. They really try to slip by the humans rather than, it's not always someone behind a screen typing in code, hacking into the system. I'd say 95% of the attacks are because people are unaware and uneducated on the matter of fact. All right.
Thank you, Joshua, and that was excellent. It gave me a lead into almost everything we're talking about today. So this screen just gives you the overall view of what we do as a district. What's our plan? It's not the details, but it's how do we approach cybersecurity, and this has been a work in progress for the last 5 years. It's becoming more solid as we go. But first thing we have to do is say, well, how are we measuring our cybersecurity And NIST CSF is the cybersecurity framework we use. We're adopting it. The board will be signing that. It's in a board policy that Neola worked on the last update just a few weeks ago, so that it's official that we're using it. We've been using it for a few years. If you've heard me present, you've heard me say it before, but that is what we measure ourselves against. And then we do an outside review. I mean, we have a great staff here, I will tell you, and you're going to meet some of them tonight. I'm excited about that. There's nobody better at supporting technology than what we do here in Beavercreek. But that doesn't mean we're all cybersecurity experts, and it doesn't mean that we can look at everything as objectively as we need to. So already twice in the last 3 years, we've had outside companies come in. They go through the cybersecurity framework with us. They ask us questions, we answer, and then they say, prove it. And we need artifacts, and we need to show them what we're doing. And it gives us direction on where we're going. So we'll show you some of that as we go. We have a team of district staff. You're going to meet some of them again tonight. And it's become very important. We meet regularly, and we set tasks, and we have scheduled items, and we hold each other accountable. That part of it is often the most difficult, because what we really want to do is make sure this projector is working, and make sure the phone is working in the office, and make sure Wi-Fi is working. You know, we have jobs that we take care of, and it's irritating that we have to protect ourselves, but we know how important it is. So, and then we continuously monitor threats and new laws. That's good. All right, this is an example for you. This is our latest evaluation. Filament Essential Services did this with us. This is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. There's 6 different controls. You can see them up there. They're govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And it shows you the percentage at the beginning of the year, and some of what you're going to hear today is where we're remediating some of the ones that are a little lower. But I like to point out the ones that are higher. After all, my boss is here. But it's not shocking that we're higher in those last 2 areas, because that is where you start. You get scared and you say, we have to be able to recover. I will tell you, I'm confident that we can recover, thanks to our cybersecurity staff. Brian's back there. He's in charge of our backup setup, and if you know what a 3-2-1 backup system is, you can rest confidently that we're doing that. And if we had ransomware, I believe we could recover, and it would not take, what was that, 287 days? That's not going to happen. Okay, so that's good. We're good at recovering. We're good at responding. Obviously, this one down here, detect, that takes money. But we are investing, and this SOC as a service you'll hear about, that is where we're doing this year, and that number will be better the next time we get an audit, and we will have become much better at detecting the problems. And part of the problem with detecting is when you start detecting, it is a mile wide, thousands of messages, and you don't know what's important. And that's why you work with other companies and you say, let's find a way to funnel down and say what's really happening, and how do we take the noise out of the way and focus on the ones that are very important. So that's where we're at. We have bolstered our cybersecurity. I don't need to talk about all these because Joshua already did talk about a lot of them. But you know, strong passwords and MFA are very important. The first one, team approach, you've already heard me say it. And I don't mean technology team, I mean everybody. A large part of our administration is here. Our Board of Education participates in all of our training and phishing as well. Our staff is involved. Our students are involved. You're going to hear more about that. And we're here trying to help community as well. Okay, so that team approach, cybersecurity is not a one-man sport. I'm not a Superman. I can't protect us. I don't pretend ever like I can. We all have to help. Our backup procedures, notice that this is a big word for me. It's in parentheses. It looks small. It says, can recover from ransomware attack. I am not a man who says can. I say should be able to. I qualify everything. This is confidence. Okay, that's a good statement. Account management is huge. Our HR director, Darren, is here tonight. They work with us so that we know when people are hired, when they change positions, change buildings, and when they leave. That's extremely important because every single account we create is a potential attack vector for a criminal. Okay, so when we have accounts hanging out there that nobody's using, nobody's checking, how do we detect that something bad is happening? So that's very important, and I thank Darren and everybody in district who helps us. We, of course, do automatic updates. Network segmentation is huge. You know, what I said at the beginning, we built these great networks, and everything can talk to everything, and it made life easier, and everything was convenient, it was great, and then we realized people are coming into our system through our HVAC controllers because they have a board in them, and you know, nobody knows to patch them, and then once they're in, oh, hey, they can see all our data. Well, you don't want that, so you segment those pieces off. You take our printers are on one segment, our phones are on one segment, our data is obviously the biggest segment, but everything else is in the IoT, the Internet of Things segment, and those we have set up, thanks to the team, so that only the right traffic can get between them instead of just allowing a free-for-all. So that network segmentation has been a huge project. It took a couple years to get that right. Computer timeouts, you know, if you walk down the hall in this building and a computer's logged in, well, there you go. You have access to everything. So physical security is a part of NIST as well. They do want to know that we check locks on doors, that we have things locked up, that we have cameras, that we have logs, that we know who has physical access to our stuff. So it's important. And then, of course, communication is important. And we adopted Parent Square on purpose. That's part of all of this, is so that when you get a message, you know it's coming from something that's trusted. So now you're going to meet part of the team. I've got 3 that are going to come up and tell you a little bit about what they do that helps us with cybersecurity. We've got Katie and Justin and Jamie. So Katie, you ready?
All right. Hello, my name is Katie. I'm part of the tech team. You thought we were done saying the word password. We are not done. You're going to hear me say it a few more times. We have implemented student password autonomy for grades 6 through 12th, and that's a fancy way of saying they manage their own passwords. We don't have those passwords saved. We can't look them up. We can't access them. In implementing this, we have done several important things that will be a life skill for the students for the rest of their lives. They will only have to use this more and more. So what we did is we go in every year and we provide them education and empowerment on the importance of keeping their password private, not sharing it. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had about students and the reasons they shouldn't share their passwords with their friends. We do a lot of communication and education on that, but more importantly, we give them education on how to create a secure password. NIST recommends at least 8 characters. The preferred number, the preferred character count is 15. We also encourage, they're required to use uppercase, lowercase numbers, and symbols. Again, we are educating them on how to create something they'll remember using a passphrase, and that is not their street name, not their animal's name, not their mom's name, not their name. It is a phrase that is memorable and that is unique to them. We provide all this education in the hopes and the goal of that this is something they will continue using for the rest of their lives. Just like Josh said, these threat attacks just keep increasing, and the rest of their lives they'll be faced with this. And so what we can do right now is make sure that they have the knowledge to protect themselves. And passwords, there it is again, is a great way to do that. And I think that's everything I have. Next up is Justin.
Hello, I'm Justin Mantle. I'm also part of the technology team, and I am going to talk about device hardening, which is not as fun as password changes and all that, but also very important. For you that don't know, device hardening, definition right here, it just is a way to make your device harder to get into, harder to hack, if you will. So we do several things with our Windows images. We use Chromebooks, we use iPads. The Windows image is basically a blank image. We remove all software that is unneeded from that image, anything that could possibly be a threat for any reason, and then we push that image out. Any user that then needs some type of software, we install it on just that user's computer. It's not for everyone, just them. That minimizes the risk that we have. And then with Chromebooks and iPads, we use management systems. So we have these systems in place that we can remotely manage and configure all of the devices. It's very granular. We can remove the apps from the iPads. We can add extensions to the Chromebooks, down to the individual user. We have some users in groups that are much more restricted than others. And the other users, we have staff users that are pretty wide open. They don't have administrative rights, but they are able to do more than the students can. I think we've talked about it before, automatic updates on everything, the iPads, the Chromebooks, Windows devices, everything gets updated automatically. Everything is patched security-wise as soon as they come out. We test everything to make sure we're not going to cause a district-wide problem by pushing these updates, but they are safe and secure. And most importantly for people at home, what you can do, I know that it's hard to update your phone and everything look different, and update your computer and now everything's in a different place. That's one of the most important things. These updates that come every day, every week, every month have little security patches that fix big issues. So update your devices. When you get a new device, remove the bloatware. Bloatware is just extra unnecessary apps that you don't need. There might be a antivirus program on there that gives you a 6-month free trial, and then they want to sell you something. It's basically an ad. You can delete that. The Windows built-in Defender is just amazing at this point. It's well worth using, and it's free. And when you're installing anything, you may know what you're installing, but read through the prompts. It's really easy to just click next and go through, but when you install that, every now and then there's a little box that says to install the Bing search bar or to install some other piece of software that they're partnered with. You can uncheck that, and then when you go to Google Chrome or your preferred browser, you're not getting a Bing search bar that you need to now figure out why it's there and how to use it. I think that's all I have, and I don't think I said password too much. So I'm going to invite Jamie Stamper up to the stage, and he's going to talk about the next part.
Well, so my name is Jamie Stamper. I'm a technology specialist. And Mike talked about tonight that it's an exciting night. It's a not exciting night. I'm going to show you what's really exciting about tonight first, and that is that Mike chose a graphic of me that has hair. And I don't know that anybody else caught it, but I saw that and I was like, oh, I see what you're doing there. So that was good. So my part tonight is to talk about TLE. And you might have seen this on our website. And this is really one of the exciting things that has come out of cybersecurity and data privacy. But before we get into this, I think it's important to take a moment and talk about the why data privacy and why cybersecurity is so important. And it's the same importance for the school district as it is to you, because every single one of us is working online. Some of us are working online right now, but we're going to be working online probably before we go to bed tonight. And that generates data, and all of that data is collected about us. And if someone can get enough data about us, then they can take that data and do something with it. As a school district, you entrust us with your children, but you also entrust us with your children's data. And that's why data privacy is important, because the group of users that we service are students. Some of them are very young, and if we didn't protect their data, someone could theoretically take enough of that data, go out, open a line of credit, and it might be 15 years before that person, that student who's now become an adult, realizes what someone has done. And it's nothing on their part that they've done, it's because someone else decided to not take certain precautions. So that's going to lead me back to trusted learning environment. And you might have seen this seal on our website. Once we earned it in May of this last year, we tried to make sure that it was visible to the community. And we're going to kind of talk about what that seal means in just a second. But the Trusted Learning Environment seal is awarded from COSIN. That is the basically the national organization, the Consortium for School Networking, that oversees directors of technology with school districts. And it provides a number of things. It provides, most importantly, education. It keeps all of us up to date on not just the threats, but the educating principles that we need to make sure that we're familiar with legislation, things like that.
send that over to them, the tech team, and they can start working on those vulnerabilities. And that's just a constant way to keep up, and that helps, like stuff does slip through a crack. Sonic Home might have 18 updates, and one of those, we might have missed. So at least that's going on the report, and they get a report every web. And this is great because it actually does staff and student accounts. So we're constantly monitoring the dark web for any data breaches that have been leaked. And once that happens, we let the tech team know that, hey, we need to reset these passwords immediately, and then enable MFA, of course, if that's out. The intrusion detection prevention, that is the IPS. IPS, that sits on the firewall. What that does, it blocks any IP, any malicious IP that's coming through. So before it can even hit your guys' network, it's stopping it right then and there. Risk assessment, security training, these all kind of go together. So once a year, we have the tech team complete this, I think it's 160 to 180 question assessment. And that kind of gives us the standpoint of where they're at with their technology, but also with their training. If they've implemented training with HR and Treasury and all that. And we'll sit down and have like a roundtable discussion of what we think the next steps are and what we think you guys can do to improve. And that happens every year. That way we can show that we're improving as well.
We're not having audio problems in here, but our live stream is. I'll switch mics to see if it helps. It may not. I'm not really confident that it's got to tune into our live stream to see us talk. So, what's next? These aren't definite plans, but these are the kind of things we talk about. As you can see, we've built in a lot of protections already. We're pretty pleased with where we're at in some areas, but just like the TLE, there's no end to cybersecurity. Pretty well locked up. There's a cyber criminal who's found one more hole, and you have to figure out how to deal with that. So some of the things we talk about, I like the first one, privileged account management. We haven't talked a lot about that yet, but we have people who have to administer every system in the district, and that account has administrative rights in the system. And we have teachers who need stuff installed on their computers, and to do that, you have to be an administrator on the computer. They can't just do that. Programs like this give us fine-grained so that we can say, yeah, Justin, you go ahead and install that. Instead of logging in with an administrator account all the time, we give you this 10-minute window because you said you need it. Now you're administrator, not the whole district, and you can install what you need. So these PAMs, these privileged account management, that's something that we're looking at to see, do we want something going forward in that arena? Because when somebody takes over an account, they get all the rights to that account. So all of the administrators, heaven forbid they take over Brian's account, or Justin's account, or Katie's, or mine, or Jamie's. We worry about those things. I don't log in to the workstation administrator account, and that's our practice. You log in with a normal staff account. You can log in as an administrator when you have to do that work. But if somebody gets it in the wrong moment, that rights to so much stuff. That's what security is. All right, email security systems. We haven't talked enough about social engineering. Okay, let me tell you something that happened this year because some emails active happened to us. Okay, so we had to who was social engineered on TikTok, had nothing to do with his district account at the time. Ended up giving his username and password to his friend on TikTok. Criminal who was not his friend. Logged in as him and found a way to access email accounts and send out 5,000 emails to other students. Couldn't send outside a district, couldn't do a ton of things. emails that went out, we were low. And I don't like to stand and talk about our cyber failure, but that attack, that ugly part of what we're talking about, those 160 students, it was a Sunday. It almost always happens on an evening or a weekend. It was a Sunday, and those kids couldn't log into their accounts because we forcibly changed their passwords. As soon as we knew they had clicked on the link and there was a possibility they were going further, we didn't need them sending any more emails out to everybody to start with. So we had to stop that chain. We changed it. We changed their password. We contacted all the families, and I was in contact with 5 or 6 of them who really needed their kids to do homework that night. But because Katie has taught all of our students 6 through 12 how to change their own passwords, they have the ability to do that if they could remember how. Some people need help. That's the way it goes. That was a big deal. So this email security, there are programs out there that can help take some of the junk out. We used to do this just to take spam out. We have spam filters still. Barracuda spam filters were some of the original, and we would see our spam counts go. Barracuda gets smart and drop. They would just up and down. Well, there's programs and AI out there now that can help us because Paul's a good example. People want his email address because if he emails me, I'm reading it. So if somebody gets his account and emails the district, a higher percentage of us are going to fall for what's in that message. Well, there's AI that can say, yeah, that is from Paul's account. Somebody's really logged in as Paul, but that person is in Korea. Paul doesn't email from Korea, and these programs can stop messages like that. So there's no foolproof, but it is that social engineering, that phishing, all of those attack vectors, anything we can do to bring them down a little helps us out. So that's why we're looking at that type of program. We've got increased education. That's what I told you about that student. Luckily, he told his parents because other students started telling him, why'd you email me about a job? So he knew something was up. His dad was in IT. His dad contacted the principal. The principal contacted me. It was all pretty quick. So we were lucky in that way. Anything we can do to increase education awareness is like to MFA for students. And everybody's like, well, how do you do MFA without a phone? You can. That doesn't mean we go give them all key fobs either. There are programs out there where you can select things on the screen. Clever is ours, the sign-on platform of choice, and they offer things that even kindergarten first graders can do for multi-factor authentication. So we're starting to look at, is that a way we move? Obviously, again, we drop the convenience level and higher the security level. And you have to be careful because you can shut down a classroom pretty quickly with one problem. So MFA is something we can have for students. And then, of course, educating the next generation. It's our job to educate. We added a whole cybersecurity program, a CTE, and tonight we have the instructor here and the student to present to you. This is exciting too. So we got installed the instructor. We got Warren James, the student who did intern for us this summer as well. So we're doing pretty well. I'm gonna let them take the show.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Before we get started here, can we just give a round of applause for our technology crew here? I mean, this would not be possible without them. Really, from day one, we have felt the support of the tech crew, and when it comes to our technology program, specifically our cybersecurity, there was never a no thrown my way. It's always been, yeah, we can try that. We'll see how that works. Yeah, we think we can get that working. So I really appreciate everyone being here and just supporting the program because we have seen a major growth in our program. And really tonight, I'm just here to update everyone on how the program is going and just some things that have happened recently with our program. So as we see behind us here, we have implemented a help desk program within our personal computers course. With that, we are actually having all of the Chromebooks that are damaged throughout the district. They actually come to my classroom, and our students here are actually the ones that are going through and fixing those problems. So they're getting a ton of experience, and we're also helping out the district as well. So it's important to